Good Friday morning, everybody. My name is Hunter. I'm not going to waste any time, but in this video, we're going to be talking about the tropics. We're going to go over a new area of development we're watching in the Southern Caribbean region, and we're going to briefly talk about Hurricane Christy, as she is quite the heck of a hurricane at around Category 4 or 150 miles per hour. So yeah, we're gonna get rock and roll. Let's go ahead and get on into it. So current look over the Atlantic. Things are relatively quiet. You got a good bit of moisture around here, but nothing to really keep an eye on right now. And this is also reflected in the Atlantic National Hurricane Center outlook. There's nothing really to be monitoring right now over the next couple days. Even in the 7 day, we don't really have anything to monitor, but I do expect that to change as we go into maybe the 3 or 4 day time period. So let's go ahead and talk about Hurricane Christy real quick. She is a Category 4 hurricane out over here in the Eastern Pacific. She is sitting at 150 mile per hour with a minimum central pressure of 932 millibars, moving west northwestward at 14 miles per hour. If we click on her information here, she'll be a major hurricane all the way up until 11 p.m. tonight, and then she'll be downgraded to a Category 3 hurricane, or I believe Category 2, by around 11 a.m. Saturday, and then she'll become a tropical storm by around 11 p.m. Saturday as well, and then slowly disintegrating over the course of a day or two. But more importantly, and we'll go ahead and get an IR look at her. She's looking a little bit lopsided to the west. Uh, so we relatively expect her to maintain major hurricane status for maybe another day or two, and then she'll slowly begin to weaken and become a tropical depression within probably another 3 days or so. So let's go ahead and talk about the potential development we have over in the Caribbean. Uh, we're assuming, or we're thinking this is going to begin on around the November 1st to November 5th time frame, somewhere around there. Right now, we're at, I would say, around 150 to 175 hours out. So it's really hard to pinpoint and lock in on a particular on number one strength and direction, like how this thing is going to get steered by the upper level winds. But I did want to really briefly talk about this because it is definitely something we need to watch, mainly because it's been on our radar now for 2 or 3 days, ever since models have been picking it up. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here real quick, and we've got um, as I scroll through this, you're going to begin to notice this area down here in the Caribbean is going to begin to light up with a yellow and kind of orange tint with, like, numbers popping up around it. The numbers here are representative of the millibar. So if we have a 08, that would be a 1008 millibar low. Um, Now we're looking at multiple different runs of the same model. In this case, would be the GEFS. So this model is being run multiple times, and we're going to be getting a different output because of the way it interprets all of the dynamics that kind of make up what happens in the tropics, right? Because if we were to run it, multiple times, we're not going to get the same output because of how the algorithm kind of interpolates it, if you will. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go all the way back here. We're relatively quiet. We have the remnants of Oscar here already visible. As we continue to go forward, you're gonna see his remnants kind of fizzle out. Um, and we're gonna go out till about a week out from now. So Wednesday, November or October 30th, rather, so the day before Halloween. Um, and then we begin to see this area right here really begin to light up, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, the models are thinking something's going to happen. We don't know quite what yet. But if we zoom in here, we've got a 993 millibar, 1002 millibar, 1003 millibar low developing in this area. And we're going to keep moving it forward here. And you can see, we got a 989, 1001, 1000, 1003. And you can tell right now that, relatively speaking, they are really spread out, right? But as we begin to move it forward, as we, like right now, we're in the around 7 a.m. Wednesday on October 30th, the day before Halloween, about 5 days from the time of uploading this video. We're going to keep moving it forward, and now we're beginning to get a decent amount of agreement in this area. Like, we've got a 975 millibar low developing here south of the Caicos Islands, down here in the Caribbean region. And, we've got kind of this secondary bullseye developing off to the west of that. We got like a 994, 997, 999, 1001 millibar low developing south of the Caicos Islands. And as we begin to move this forward, we're really beginning to get a lot of different spread. Which right now I really want to reiterate that we don't know what this is going to do. But, and I'm going to kind of speed through this, and then we'll go back and talk about it here in a minute. But this has been relatively consistent over the past 3 or 4 model runs. So this isn't like we've seen this big area of development come through, and then all of a sudden we see nothing a model run later. Um, but anyway, yeah, let's keep going. So uh, this particular model run loves to bring it right through the Caicos Islands, um, like to the west of the Dominican Republic, and kind of makes a curveball toward the Florida area. Which, again, I want to reiterate that we are not totally set in stone on a Florida landfall at all. We're over, I would say, a week and a half out from, I would say 3 or 4 days out from having a general better idea before we get into hurricane model range and we're able to really kind of lock in on it. So we're gonna kind of keep pushing it forward here, and man, the amount of agreement we have at around Saturday, November 2nd, at around 6 to 7 p.m. is that we've got. I would even say, take it with a grain of salt, but we might have a hurricane down here south of the Dominican Republic, going up into the Caicos Islands, with a few outliers up here south of Miami. But like I said, we don't want to, I don't want everybody in Miami to be getting alarmed by this because, I mean, like I said, we're really far out. We're going to go ahead and keep rolling through it, though. Again, really, really insane model agreement here. You don't see this very often at this range and have something not happen from it, right? So we've got a 951, 950, a 931 millibar low. We might have like a Category 2, Category 3 hurricane down here in the Caribbean uh, by November 3rd at around 7 a.m. So something to keep in mind. Uh, we're going to keep moving it forward here, and man, this thing really explodes. And you can see we've even got some members being at around, what is that, 950 or 957, 958, into the far southeastern Florida area. We really want to keep an eye on that area as we continue to move forward. Excuse me. But yeah. And then we've even got some members developing this thing really late. Like after the election, so Wednesday, November 6th, that takes it south of Tampa Bay, and we keep going forward. And like I said, the model spread on this is relatively insane, which is why I don't want to really lock in too hard on it. But we were looking at last night's run, so the 0Z. We'll look at yesterday afternoon's run, being the 18Z. So 18Z being around 12 p.m., 1 p.m. So we're going to go ahead and roll it forward here. And again, we're seeing some pretty insane agreement here. Um, for and then you've got some models out here trying to yeet it out into the Gulf. Like, man, the difference between the 18Z and the 0Z, which we were looking at, is relatively insane. You got some of these guys making a full beeline toward making a full westward turn, if you will, and you got some over here that shoot that way. It's really important to not interpret this as gospel. Uh, a local meteorologist here in Tennessee loves to say, you take model as guidance, not gospel, and that's something really important to remember here. So we're going to go ahead and move it on. We're going to be looking at the GFS here to kind of get an idea of what it's thinking because, the GFS has been really doing really well in the late season for, Francine, Milton, Helene, and a bunch of the other, major hurricanes that we've had develop. Kirk as well. So we're going to go ahead and kind of move it forward here and we're going to run it back. So here we are now. We've got the remnants of Oscar, 1,007 millibar low. Not really anything to worry about. We'll keep moving it forward here. And then around the time we get into, there we are right here. So around October 30th, we've got 1,003 millibar low, according to the GFS, developing down here in the Caribbean. And that strengthens relatively rapidly to a 990 millibar low. Hey cat, to a 990 millibar low on October 31st. So in the midst of Halloween, we've got a 990 millibar low down here in the Caribbean, getting ready to go right through the Kirks and Caicos Islands, or the Turks and Caicos Islands rather. We got a 987 millibar low, going right through the islands here. And what we'll do is we'll take a look at the previous run to this as well to see how they compare. So we go right through the islands. We make a straight beeline toward Florida, and you would think this is going to make a direct landfall for Florida, right? Cat, what are you doing? I would pan over to show my cat. Come here, kitty. There's my kitty. But getting back on into it, y'all. You would think this would make a straight beeline, for Florida, right? But it doesn't. It kind of begins to slingshot, and then because of the upper level low that we have over here, diving deep into the eastern U.S., it gets stalled right off the coast of Florida, and then eventually, as that low propagates east, it gets pushed out into the open sea, becoming a fish storm. But I want to reiterate that this is way too close for comfort, right? We don't want to look at this and be like, oh man, I don't want to write this off. This is one model run. This is something we really got to keep an eye on as we, continue to close out October and open up November. So, for the giggles, let's go ahead and look at the 18Z run. Run it back real quick. So we're coming up on October 30th, October 31st. We got a 987 millibar low, similar to the 0Z run. And we're going to continue to go through, and again, kind of the same result. We get a slingshot effect, which I've never seen anything like this happen before. I don't want to write this run off, but I've never seen anything happen like this before. It gets slingshotted back into the Dominican Republic, and then gets pushed out into the open sea. So, y'all's guess is as good as mine at this point. But really, the whole main reason here is, we want to alert everybody of, the potential that we might have an area in the tropics to look at toward the end of October and beginning to the middle of November. So, let's go ahead and look at the euro. Now the euro is a goofy model in that it is on the relatively weaker side of, it has been on the relatively weaker side of every tropical storm or hurricane that we've had. So, we're going to go ahead and move it forward here. We've got, where are we at now? We're at Wednesday, October 30th. And you've got this area that tries to form. We've got an area, I don't know if you guys are able to see the wind barbs here, but you've got an area that is beginning to develop here, and like this will only go out to November 3rd, but you got 1,004 millibar low of tropical moisture trying to develop into something, but by this point it doesn't. See, we're already on November 4th. If we go to November 4th at this time on the GFS, let's go here. It already had this thing well developed and well north of the Dominican Republic, and well southeast of Florida. So, um, again, you know you really don't want to write off the GFS or the euro in this situation. You know, this is one of those things we got to really look at and you know continue to monitor as we go into the beginning or the end of this week and into the beginning of next week. So something we look at when we're looking at how quickly a tropical system will develop is the oceanic heat content. You can see the Gulf of Mexico here, or the Gulf, is relatively cool. We've had quite a few tropical systems come through here, and really cool it off. So, but what has my concern is the area of development that we were looking at on the models is relatively, really warm, like bath water. To be honest with you, and you know we come here, kitty, get down for a minute. You know, so as I was saying, you know, the area that we have so far is already really hot. So if we get you know, barring we don't have any wind shear, you know, our upper level pattern is favorable, which we don't really have a good lock on being a week and a half out. You know, we could see, you know, a relatively good possibility of having a cyclone development in this region. Um, where it'll go, we don't know yet. You know, I'm going to keep making videos updating everybody on what's going on. And I hope that, and you know, obviously, I hope we don't have a scenario where we have another hurricane. 2024 so far has been, I believe, the second most costliest hurricane season. And that's pretty insane to think about when, you know, everybody that was involved in weather, like myself, was saying that, oh, you know, we were already in late August. We all thought the hurricane season was a bust, and here we are now. So I want to thank you all for watching. I'm hopefully gonna have a video out tomorrow, kind of going over everything, any updates we have on what this thing might do. So I want to thank you all for watching, and I will talk to you later. Peace out.